everybody doing? Say hi, Damaris. This is my baby Damaris, my youngest out of my four kids. I just wanted to come on here and let you guys, give you guys a story time on how my Christmas went. Um, Basically, I had the worst Christmas I ever had in my life. Um, Basically, it started off Christmas Eve. My baby boy woke up with a cold. And when I tell you guys this happened like fast, like it happened so fast. So he woke up with a cold, started coughing and sneezing and everything, having a runny nose. I remember early that morning I had gave him some Motrin because I thought he had a cold and he had a high fever. So later on that day I had gave him some Tylenol. And I remember Christmas Eve, it was me and my sister and my kids. We was basically doing like different Christmas activities and having fun and everything. And my baby boy, he was basically, he just kept on laying down. He wasn't himself. Like, he's normally happy just like this and smiling. And he just wasn't himself. And I understand that he was sick and everything, but like, me as a mom knowing my son, he wasn't himself at all. And that got me concerned. And on top of that, how he was breathing wasn't normal. Like, you literally could see his chest and while he was breathing in and out. And then on top of that, his nostrils was flaring, his head was bobbing, like he was really pulling hard to breathe. So I got worried. I took him to the hospital. So they admitted him in. They told me that he got tested positive for RSV, which is a virus that they can't prescribe you with any medication. You just have to let it take its course, and it will get worse, but he'll feel better over time. So I'm just like, okay. So they sent me back home and just told me, okay, just do a regular, normal routine of giving him Tylenol and all of that, and see if the breathing, goes down or whatever. So later on at night, the breathing haven't stopped. Like, how he was breathing, it was just so scary. And I'm just like, why is he breathing like that? And mind you, he don't have any type of asthma issues, or he didn't have any respiratory issues when he was born. So I'm like, why is he breathing like that? So I went back to the hospital. They they put him on an oxygen machine. It's called a high flow oxygen machine, and it was monitored to him to see if he'll stop breathing like that. And for some reason, he couldn't stop breathing like that. So they told me the high flow. What did you just put in your mouth? A rubber band. You put a rubber band. So basically, what they told me that is that the high flow oxygen machine that they had on him was, I think it went up to a level 8 or a 10, and he needed more, basically a higher level, in order for him to breathe well. So they told me they couldn't do anything about it. So they transferred me and him to another hospital. So that's when I realized that, oh my gosh, like, this is really real. Like, this is worse than what I thought it was. I didn't know anything about the RSV virus. I never heard of it until they told me about it. I looked it up online, got more information and everything. Basically, they sent us to a different hospital. Um, so we went in an ambulance. I left my car there at the first hospital. We went in the ambulance. They took us to the hospital and everything. And all I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, like, I'm just praying at this point, like, oh my gosh, this is more serious than what I thought it was. You know, please, Lord, let my baby be okay. So at this point, the lady, I'm sitting in the front. My son is in the back, of course. And the driver, she's sitting here, trying to calm me down, ask me different questions and everything. And I'm just like, my mind is just like going fast right now. I'm just thinking and everything. And so at this point, I'm sitting here texting his dad. And mind you, his dad is in a different state. So I'm texting his dad, telling him what's going on. And he's trying to find a way up here for us, to come see us. And so we got to the hospital. Now, the ambulance lady told me, don't be alarmed when I get there, because since they transferring us to a different hospital, they're getting ready for us, basically. It's going to be at least 8 or more nurses and doctors there waiting on him. So I'm like, okay. So I never been through the situation before. None of my kids never stayed overnight in a hospital. especially with a situation like this. So when I got there, all you see is nurses with a nurse, gear on, face mask, everybody just ready for him. So they're like, oh my gosh, hi buddy. They told me to sit down and relax. They're gonna try to get him on a breathing machine as soon as possible. They had transferred everything over that he had on at the first hospital, like basically all his tubes and his little stickers on his chest. They had transferred everything to their equipment. So I'm just sitting here just taking this all in, just literally taking this all in. So that's when they said he sounded congested. So they got like, what? It was just so crazy because it was like at least 8 nurses on him. So one is pricking his feet to check his sugar. The other one is putting the little patches on his chest. Then they sit here saying that he sounded congested. So 2 nurses in here at the top of his head got a suction thing and basically just suctioning his nose out. So he's screaming and everything. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've never been through this situation. This is scary for me. So the doctors, basically tell me what they're doing, tell me what's the procedure and what they're going to do. And he just basically like trying to calm me down. So after all of that, they put him on the higher flow oxygen machine. So they start him off at 10. And it was like, we're going to come back and check up on him and see if that's, his breathing is slowing down. So basically, fast forward, the next day went by. They came in and they told me, like, we're going to put him on a higher oxygen machine because the high flow is not doing him very well. So they brought in this big old machine. They put a gas mask over him because at first he was having the breathing tubes in his nose. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, handsome? So they came in with like this big old gas mask and everything. They put him on the bigger oxygen machine, and I remember just sitting there. Mind you, I haven't got up out my seat. I haven't gotten nothing to drink. I haven't went to go use the bathroom, and I'm just sitting there like I was in shock. I was frustrated. I didn't know what to think. I was stressed out. So I'm just sitting there. All of the doctors, after they put him on a big machine, all of the doctors just standing there waiting like, to see if the machine will work. So they stand there seeing if the machine will work. Hey, buddy, I'm about to put you down. I'm about to put you down. I love you. Go play. Where you going? But I love him so much. Yeah, so basically we just sitting there for 20 minutes, and they were just looking just to see if he's doing any, progression in his breathing. And I remember just sitting there like looking at their faces, and they just like literally staring at each other like, what is the next move? Like, he's not doing well in this big machine, so what could we do? And at that point, that's when reality hit me like, oh my gosh, this might be, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I ain't gonna say I was thinking negative or anything, the worst. But I was just like, seeing these different type of nurses and the doctor's face, it was just like, it gave me no hope. So I'm just like, I'm looking at them, and they looking like, yeah, he's not doing good on this machine, so I had to ask him, I'm just like, so what's the worst case scenario? So he's like, oh, the worst case scenario is that him breathing like this so heavy that his lungs might shut down, and he probably gonna stop breathing on his own, and we're gonna have to put a breathing machine in him. Put him on a breathing machine, the breathing tube down his throat. I'm sorry, my bad. So I'm just like, what? So, but she said, we're going to give him time, and, we're going to let it take its course and come back within the next few hours and see how he do. So that's when I literally broke down. Like, I literally cried. I called my son's father, and I told him what was going on and what they said, and he calmed down. I'm trying to find a way up there. Mind you, he drove all the way up here from Georgia, and I'm trying to find a way there now. So he got here the next morning, and my son, the next morning, fast forward, the next morning came. He was up, but he wasn't like alert. So he was just looking around, watching TV. He was still cranky, like he was sick. So at this point, they're telling me that the virus is like a roller coaster. So 1 minute he's getting better, but then it will take 2 steps back, and then he'll when the next day come, he'll get even worse. Like his breathing will get worse. He'll get high fevers like every time it goes down. So they like just expect that to happen. So at this point, I guess he started feeling better and everything. And that's when they told me that by the end of today, that's when it's going to start getting worse because we was on day, I think, 2 or 3 of the virus. So they was like, be prepared. So as soon as his dad arrived, when I tell you, that's why it ain't nothing but God that had my baby. When I tell you he went from being sad and sick to when he saw his dad, like the reaction was priceless. I wish I would have recorded it. But when he saw his dad, like his whole face lighted up. He jumped up. His dad got him, and that was like the best moment ever. Like his dad started crying and everything. His dad held him. I say he held him for about an hour or two. When the doctors came in, it was like, oh my God, he looks so much better. He's up and awake. They gave him they did another nose suction. After that, we were just sitting there, and when I tell you, within 24 hours, my baby felt better. They came back. They said his breathing doing okay. He has no fever. He hasn't had no fever ever since that night. My baby's sitting here playing with his Christmas toys. We had open Christmas gifts that day because we didn't, like I said, we didn't celebrate Christmas because we was in the hospital. So everybody came. My kids came. We celebrated Christmas in the hospital. He was playing with his toys. The nurses gave him a Christmas teddy bear, so he kept on hugging and kissing the teddy bear. It was like the best moment ever. And all I can say is thank you, Lord, because at that point, I didn't know what I was going to do. I lost hope. I can honestly say I lost hope because I was just like, this is not, I never seen nothing like this. And my son was just perfectly fine 2 days ago, and he woke up with this, I thought it was a regular cold, and it turns out to be a virus, and now he's not breathing on his own. Like, that's crazy. And I can honestly say, like, that's a testimony because that was, like, for him, it just took his dad to come up there for him to start feeling better. So after they saw that he was doing good throughout the day, throughout the night, the next morning we got transferred from he was in the I think it's called a PICU, the pediatric intensive care unit. We was upstairs there, so we got moved downstairs to the regular, I guess, hospital room. And they said, okay, we're just going to continue on monitoring his breathing. Basically, they had took his oxygen level down from, I think it was a 10 or 12. They had turned it all the way down to a 3. And that's how you know it's nothing but God, because he was just at a 12, and they took it down because he was doing so much better with his breathing. And, girls, what are y'all doing? Give him his bottle. And, yeah, so we went downstairs. We waited for a few hours. The pediatrician came in, and she talked to us, and she said it looks like he was asleep at the time. So she was like, it looks like he doing pretty good while he's sleeping. So she was like, I'm gonna take him off the oxygen and see how he do on his own. See how he breathe on his own. So we like, okay, fine. A few hours went by. They came back and they said, oh my God, like he literally doing fine. And it was like, we're going to give you your discharge papers and everything. Like, he's doing great now. Come back if he continue on breathing like that. But they said, other than that, he's been doing well within the past 24 hours. And, yeah, he went home the next day. And when we came home, he still had more Christmas gifts because we couldn't bring that many Christmas gifts in the hospital. And he came home, celebrated Christmas again with us. And he was walking around being his normal self. You see him in the background, being his normal self. And I just thank God, and I can honestly say I never felt that much pain until that happened to me, and I just feel so bad for the parents that sit and have children that's very sick, like worse than my child, and have to sit in the hospital for weeks or come back to the hospital and get treatments for their son or daughter. And that's like the worst feeling ever, to see your child that sick to where he's not his normal self. And I just feel bad for parents that have to go through that. And I can honestly say, any parent that's going through that, I will pray for you. I pray for you right now that God will make it work, and that He will strengthen you to go through what you're going through. And I just pray that it be over and your child will get better.